So hello, my name is Valerie Kilduff, and I'm the project manager for this project we'll be talking about tonight, which is the intersection improvements at 2 locations on Route 202, School Street, and at 5 Corners. I work in the roadway project management section at the Mass Department of Transportation Highway Division in Boston. Just so you know, there's an attendance at this hearing. It will be formally recorded. Once the hearing is over, the attendance sheet will become part of the public record for the hearing. So if you want your attendance at this hearing to be part of the public record, please sign in. The sheet is located right over there on that desk. And you can pick up a handout too. There's one right there with the details. We have a great team here today who can answer your questions that you might have about the project. I have Rich Massey, the District Project Development Engineer, Luke Hayes from the District Traffic Section in the D2 office, Eric Christensen, who's from our right-of-way, and Chensha Fang is the Design Section in District 2, and our transcriptionist is Walter Mantini of Arlington Typing and Mailing, and he'll be making a verbatim transcript of tonight's hearing. I will add the notice of hearing that appeared in the Belchertown Sentinel and the Republican on March 1st and March 8th, so it will go into the transcript. A copy of the notice is in the handout, and it will be attached in the final hearing transcript. The purpose of the public hearing is to explain the proposed improvements and listen to your comments and answer any questions that you might have. The project we're talking about is the intersection improvements at 2 intersections, 5 Corners, and School Street. It will address both safety concerns and traffic congestion and provide improved pedestrian and bicycle accommodations to the existing project area. We are currently in the 25% design stage, which means that we are in the preliminary stages of the project design, and we estimate the total project will cost $1.7 million, which will come from federal aid funding, with the Federal Highway Administration funding 80% of the total construction cost, and MassDOT will fund the remaining 20%. The project must be programmed in the statewide transportation improvement program in the appropriate federal fiscal year in order for MassDOT to solicit bids for eventual construction. The estimated cost of this project does not include any right-of-way acquisition costs. The design is expected to be completed in the winter of 2021, and the construction is expected to be completed within 1 year. As you may be aware, the reason for this project is both locations are ranked within the top 5% of the high crash locations within the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission area. The main impact on your community caused by these deficiencies is safety for vehicular as well as pedestrian and bicycle traffic. In a few minutes, Chensha Fang of MassDOT is going to tell you about this project and how it will improve infrastructure and reduce the impacts we stated earlier. But first, I'd like to ask Eric Christensen to explain the right-of-way procedure.
Thank you, Valerie. Good evening. My name is Eric Christensen, and I represent the Right-of-Way Bureau of the Massachusetts Department of Transportation Highway Division. The Right-of-Way Bureau is responsible for acquiring all the necessary rights in private and public lands for the design, construction, and implementation of this project. Affected property owners will be contacted by personnel from the Right-of-Way Bureau or consultants representing the Massachusetts Department of Transportation Highway Division. The procedures must comply with state and federal regulations governing the acquisition process. The current design plan indicates that fee takings and permanent easements will be required. Other areas will require temporary construction easements. Affected property owners' rights are protected under the Massachusetts General Laws, primarily Chapter 79. If a project is receiving federal funds, the property owner's rights are further defined under Title III of the Real Property Act's 1970 as amended. I will be happy to answer any general questions regarding right-of-way activities during the open forum for questions, and I will be available after this public hearing for any specific questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Now, Chancellor Fang will describe MassDOT's project in detail for you. Please keep in mind that the project we are presenting to you tonight is still in the design stage. Once Chancellor is done telling you about the design, I'll explain the hearing procedure and then open up the hearing to your questions and comments, which we will take into consideration in completing the project's design. Please hold your questions until after the presentation.
Okay, before you begin, Stephen, can you slide your laptop toward me about 4 inches? Very good, thank you.
Yeah. Hello everyone, we're welcome for this design public hearing. This design is now in 25%. Yeah, this is the name, just the name for everybody. So this presentation will be divided in 4 sections: project overview, background, and consideration. The last one is questioning the comments. So now we talk about the project overview first. This project covers 2 intersections, 5-corner intersection and School Street intersection. You can see in the locus map, you can see for the 5-corner intersection, the project along the Route 202 is about 1,400 feet long, and for the School Street, it will be 1,100 feet long. The scope of work so far will cover the 5 macro lanes and resurfacing, minor widening, realignment of Amherst Street, and sidewalk and the wheelchair ramp, and the traffic signals. I will talk about the background and history first. Both locations are ranked within the top 5% of high crash locations within the PVPC area, and so they are eligible for the FHWA's Highway Safety Improvement program. So, road safety audit was conducted in March 2013. RSA usually is a formal safety examination of a roadway by a multidisciplinary team. The purpose is to identify safety issues and possible improvements considering all roadway users. This RSA was this is a participating audit team. You can see they come from local, regional, and state agency, and even including the McDuffie School. So this team take a walk and discuss and review the crash, and then identify such safety issues including congestion and driver frustration, speed and side distance, intersection geometry, and signage, turning lanes, signal, access management, and pedestrian accommodation for these 2 intersections. So our design will try to address these safety issues identified in this RSA. First, we take a look about the crash history. We got the crash data from the Granby Police Department, and found during this 6 years period, there are 69 crashes at 5-corner intersection and 25 crashes at a School Street intersection. We talk about the 5-corner intersection first. 5-corner intersection, in fact, including 2 separate intersections, which is 250 feet apart, which is this intersection, Pleasant Street, and the Route 202. They are signalized intersection, and this Amherst Street and the Cumberland Eastland Driveway and the Route 202, they are stop controlled at Amherst Street, unsignalized intersection. Here is a crash diagram. for this 69. Here we can see there are 51 on this Amherst, on this Pleasant Street and Route 202. 51 and 18 in this Amherst Street and Route 202. So we run a little more analysis and we can see about 44% of crash happened in afternoon commute time between 2 and 6, and 14% happened in the morning commute time. And the most 42% is angle, and 36 are rear end for this intersection. A further analysis show there are about 10 crash related to the left in and the left out of Dunkin' Donuts. And there are another 2, in fact, related to the left in from the Route 2. You know, the car drive this way and trying to turn left to the Dunkin' Donuts and a crash. There are 10 crash on this, they're trying to turn left into the Cumberland this way. So these are 2 very typical crash types in this intersection. So now we can talk about the School Street. At first, the School Street is just one lane for full approach, and here is a stop sign control. The Grand Cafe was here, but it was demolished in 2014. So basically, the land use around the School Street is very rural. So here is all this crash for the School Street between these 6 years. We can see here has another peak is for the afternoon commute. It's about 40%, between 2 and 6. And the pattern is a little bit different between these 2 intersections. Here, 52% are angle, and 20% are sidewise. You can see here, a lot of crash, in fact, happened between the southbound vehicle from School Street and the Route 202 traveling. Although this is controlled by stop signs, but still a lot of crash is happened between these 2. Okay, now we come to the third part, project design consideration. The Route 202 is classified as urban principal arterial. The design speed is 45. The Route 202 has this 12,783 ADT in 2014. This is Route 202's number. So, and this project mainly is for safety improvement. This 4 picture I took from 5-corner intersection. Here is the exiting condition. You can see they have only crosswalk and wheelchair ramp just for this island, and there you don't have system. We did ATR in May 2015, and here we put the count in west of Pleasant Street, north of Route 202 on Pleasant Street, and then we got this number, and you can see the morning and afternoon peak. This is turning movement count in May 2015, and based on the turning movement count, and we got the crash rate for 5-corner is 1.07. For the intersection of Pleasant Street and Route 202 is pretty higher than average rate across the district. Since the safety for Amherst Street and Route 202 we run this, explore the idea about the signalization. So we run this MUTCP traffic signal warrants, and we find out is limit 3 warrants. Only for warrant 7, only 1 criteria meet. And we run left turn lane warrants too. You know, for the Amherst, Route 202 approach the Amherst Street from the east side has no left turn lane. So we run the left turn lane warrants and they meet warrants. So here is, although it meets the warrant for the intersection of Route 202 and Amherst Street, it's not proposed signalization at this point for this project because the intersection, two intersections is only 250 feet apart. It's very complicated to coordinate these two signals. Accessibility. Existing facility doesn't meet the current ADA requirements, and it's very hard access for the people, elderly, and people with disability, and even children. You can see here, the intersection only have along the CVS pharmacy has a section of sidewalk. For the rest part, only have a crosswalk and a wheelchair ramp. That's all, the walking path. So to improve this, to accommodate the pedestrian, so we propose a concrete sidewalk on both sides within the project limit for 5 corner intersection and crosswalk, wheelchair ramp, pavement marking, pedestrian signal head, and this accessible pedestrian signal push button to meet the ADA requirements. So this design show all the proposed work for 5 corner intersection. You can see we propose for the access management, we propose the right in and right out for the Dunkin' Donuts driveway. For the for pedestrian, we proposed all the sidewalk along the project limit, and all the sidewalk, crosswalk are signal controlled except this one for Amherst Street. We proposed minor widening, so we can accommodate a 5 foot wide shoulder and this left turn lane for Amherst Street. We proposed micro-milling and resurfacing for the whole project, left turn, and we propose the excavation of these 2 existing islands, so make it small and so easy to control. So we propose even upgrade the signal head so they can align the signal head to the travel lane. Here is now the existing situation is a little bit not aligned very well. Another big thing is trying to improve the intersection geometry. We propose realign Amherst Street. For the Amherst Street and the Cumberland Eastern Lane driveway has 20 feet. The 20 feet apart. So we propose to realign this so they can fit each other, align each other, make this left turn on both, either to Route 202 to this or Route 202 to the driveway will be easy. But for the left turn lane, left turn vehicle will even park here ready. But that time will block the people to go in the Amherst Street. Okay, now we move to the next intersection. This is School Street. School Street is pretty simple, has helpful approach and single lane off approach. We did the ATR2, traffic counts, and turning movement, and got the crash rate is about 0.98. That's higher than the district average too. So we run the traffic signal warrant that is recommended in the RSA, and we found out they meet the warrants 1, 2, 3. For the warrant 7, the criteria C is needed. Criteria B, which is crash, almost meet. So left turn lane warrants meet too. So for signal. For School Street, we propose to signalize this intersection. Because the land use around this is much rural, so we propose the crosswalk and the wheelchair ramp only for this intersection, not in the project limit. All this crosswalk will be signal controlled, and here is the master arm, and we will propose the left lane E2. So it's milling and resurfacing. Yeah, and we have 5-foot shoulder. I know realignment of Amherst Street will take some parking space, existing parking space. So we are now explore another alternative, like a realignment of Cumberland Farm Easterly Driveway instead of realigning Amherst Street. So you can see now this is exiting. If we realign Amherst Street, this is Amherst Street now. If we realign Amherst Street, trying to align this driveway, we will take away this parking space. So we explore the possibility to realign this driveway. That will bring issue is the wetland replication, because this driveway, besides the driveway, is all wetland. If we do flat slope work and the requirement, so we need to replicate a wetland of 1,400 square feet. That we need to approve from the environmental section and find where it is. Because within the project limit, we couldn't find a place to replace this wetland. So that will be beyond this project limit and permits from environment. Another alternative the design team explored is a roundabout. Yeah, you know, across the state, a lot of the roundabouts is built and they run smoothly. For these two projects, two locations, we did run a test run. But the problem is right away here. Oh, I'm so sorry you couldn't see it very clearly. But for the 5-corner intersection, this roundabout is only for the Pleasant Street and Route 202. To build this roundabout right away, we got to take land from City Cumberland and this owner, a lot of land we need to take. This only shows the edge of pavement. In fact, we need feet after feet along to there. We ran another School Street 2, same, is right away to block. So, yeah, but we did explore this alternative. So, this funding for this project will 80% come from federal and 20% come from state. For the 25 stage, the total will be 1.7 million. This project is scheduled to be advertised at December 18, 2021, and we'll begin to build spring 2022, and it will be done. So this public hearing is a good opportunity to present what we did and to hear from you And then we can continue to improve this and push this project continue. So after this meeting, we will compile public input and then push this design plan from 25 to 75 to PSE. And open construction zone. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chincha. Before I open the hearing to questions and comments, I'm going to explain the hearing procedure. First, as I stated previously, the purpose of this hearing is to solicit your input regarding this project. As the plans are not yet complete, we may not be able to answer all of your questions or respond to all of your comments at this time. Next, we ask that anyone who wishes to have his or her comments entered into the official hearing transcript, please stand up, come to the microphone, identify yourself by name and affiliation, whether you're an abutter, local official, concerned citizen. Please spell your last name. This is necessary in order for us to obtain a full verbatim transcript as required by law. Also, the last sheet of the handout is a mail-in sheet. If you have questions or comments which you would like to submit in writing, please use this sheet for that purpose. You may leave the sheet with me tonight, or you may mail it to the department within 10 days of this date and it will become part of the official record. Finally, it's normal procedure to ask elected officials to offer their comments first. Are there any federal, state, or local officials that would like to speak at this time?
The first sheet.
No, go ahead. My name is Glenn Sexton, S-E-X-T-O-N. Two things. I'm actually a selectman in town for the Board of Selectmen. I also live on Amber Street, 53 Amber Street, which is also part of one of the projects. So when as I was listening to the presentation, some of the things that I have noted and jotted down in respect to there were 69 crashes at the 5 corners and then less at the other intersection. One of the questions I would have in regards to that is the severity of the accidents that occurred. So in other words, at the 5 corners, is it just, someone bumping into someone, not paying attention, versus something down on the other side, which is, I would think would be more a severe accident. I've lived on Amber Street now since 1996, and I know that it is a concern as far as the way the traffic backs up there in the morning time, anywhere from 7:30 till probably 9 o'clock in the morning, and also from the afternoon from 3:30 to probably 5:30 in the afternoon. And some of my concerns with that is that moving Amber Street down closer to the intersection, if you will, what is that going to create as far as traffic backup on 202 up into Amber Street, but also down on the other side, coming the other way from Cumberland Farms. And you're narrowing the section for people would have to, for traffic to back up a little bit. Also concerned, looking at what the design was, is looks like it's going to be more of a straightaway coming into through 202 at an angle from Amber Street. How is that going to be the sight line for a driver looking down north on 202 as to where it comes out now? You almost have like a straight, so you kind of look both ways. Looking at the plans, it kind of looks like you come down at an angle into 202. I'm just wondering if that's just looks that way, or that's the way the actual plans are. Just a couple things, and I know that you had spoken about a sidewalk in that area. My question is, where is that sidewalk going? We're just talking about putting in a 5-foot section of a sidewalk that's going to go nowhere, or into a parking lot, or what does it create? It sounds great to have a sidewalk, but how big is that actual sidewalk, and what's the benefits of being there? And I know one other point is that they talked about a crosswalk. So I wondering if there's going to be a crosswalk, from the Cumberland Farms over to Amber Street. So you have a crosswalk there and a crosswalk down at the intersection, or just one? A lot of questions I throw out there quickly, but it's just, as I was jotting them down and you're going through the slides.
Okay, I guess, all right, we can go to the severity. I don't have with us tonight a summary of how many were property damage only or personal injury. I don't think there's been any fatal crashes here. But we can certainly get that information. I presume it was part of the road safety audit, which I don't have the full document here
No.
tonight.
It's not circle, that is not damage, it's circle like an injury. Only the circle
Okay.
like an injury. The other, if no circle, that must be
So-
the property damage.
All right, so in the diagram here, I guess the ones with the circle, how many are there on each side?
The little circle, is it like this one? If this one has a circle, that is injury, you know, this one has injury. So the rest should be property damage only. I don't think we have to do.
From the diagram, it does look like there's a lot of side swipes and rear ends, which would suggest lower severity. There are a few turning crashes, which
Yeah.
can be more severe, but it doesn't look like from the diagram that there were many injuries. It was mostly property damage.
Yeah, 42 angle and 36% is the rear end. So it's more like people want to, because a lot of things going on in this intersection. They want to turn left, especially turn left to the known and the turn left to, they have so many things.
So, well, as you kind of just said, a lot of them are maybe side swipe and stuff like that. Moving the road, is that going to eliminate that? Or are those things still going to occur, the people are still going to be making a turn right there? We talked about the crashes and things like that. Moving the road, is that going to, lessen the problem there? Is that what it's supposed to create?
It's more the fact that we're including left turn lanes,
Yeah,
which should help that, just to get people out of the roadway. But you're right, moving them closer together isn't going to alleviate any of the current issues you're seeing.
I know they did talk about moving the Cumberland Farms exit coming onto 202. And I think that would probably be one of the benefits. I think would probably be a better way to do it. And I'm speaking of someone who travels that road every single day, like for the past 20 plus years.
So, right, as Trinshaw mentioned in the presentation, that is something that we've looked at. It would require impacts to the wetland there, which I believe is both Massachusetts Wetlands Act jurisdiction and federal jurisdiction as waters of the United States. So for both of those permits, typically what you want to do is the first thing you try to do in terms of impacts to wetlands is avoid them. And then if you can't avoid them, you want to minimize them and replicate. But the first attempt should always be to avoid. So that's something we would have to explore further with our environmental folks in terms of the ability to justify that we're not going to avoid the wetland, we're actually going to impact it and mitigate it, which is, again, not the preferred impact. So, but it's something we can explore further. And again, it won't just be the local Concom that will make a decision in terms of the State Wetlands Protection Act. It will also be the Army Corps of Engineers in terms of a water quality certificate under the federal jurisdiction. So we have to convince both that what we're doing is, the proper approach. So, but that is something that, the realigning Amherst Street there with the Cumberland Farms driveway, either way you do it, whether you move Amherst Street or you move Cumberland Farms, is that potentially should reduce some of the crashes where you get a vehicle turning left into one of those, and it's actually beyond where the other left turn, turning into the other street is. So there's an overlap there where you can eliminate that by putting it straight across from each other. The left turns can occur without conflicting with each other. So that could help the number of angle crashes.
Yeah, you can see from this drawing very clearly. Now this Amherst Street and this Cumberland driveway has about 20 feet apart. So the people who travel this way, the westbound, if they want to try to turn left, they will stop here. You know, some stop here is far, but if they go this way and then turn left to Amherst Street, will go this way. So here we have the conflict point. That's why we need to either move the Amherst Street or move this driveway. Okay, the third question is sidewalk.
Sure.
We're trying to do good about sidewalk. I will show you. Yeah. The gentleman's question is.
Why are we putting them there and not, where do they end and what's the purpose, I think is the question?
Yes.
Okay. MassDOT does have a policy that with every project we do, we will look to improve pedestrian and bicycle accommodation. It's called our Healthy Transportation Policy Directive, which intends to make modes of travel other than getting in your car safer, and hopefully more people would feel safe walking or biking than having to take the car. So in this location here, where the surrounding development is commercial and there's potentially a lot of pedestrian destinations, and it's next to residential areas up on the north side of Pleasant Street there especially. We do propose to put sidewalks around this whole project limit. They do have to end somewhere eventually, and that's always a question of, if I'm doing a project now and I put sidewalks in and there's no sidewalks beyond there, what good is it to have them there? But our policy is basically, as you do the project, you try to put in the pieces. And I should also note that we do have a separate project, actually two separate projects that go on either side of Five Corners here. We have one that's going to resurface and look at those pedestrian bike accommodations west of Five Corners here. That's Southampton Granby Route 202 project, which is just at 25% design and is scheduled potentially for advertising in 2019, which will be looking at the sidewalks west of Five Corners. And then we have another project on 202 from Granby to Belchertown, extending from where this project ends all the way into Belchertown up to Route 21, to the Route 21 intersection of Belchertown, which is scheduled for advertising in 2022, the same year right now as this project. We'll also be looking at sidewalk and bike accommodation, and could extend potentially the sidewalks from this project into the center of Granby and other locations. So we'll include the sidewalk pieces with the work we're doing here, and then we'll look at beyond there in those two other projects. Okay. Does that take care of all your, miss anything?
The only other one other
I'm
question.
sorry, I can't hear you.
That's fine. One of the other questions I had, again, looking at the plans, it looks like Amherst Street will now come down at an angle into Route 202. How beneficial is the, your site for looking north on 202 when you're coming out? Now that your vehicle is at an angle, unless I'm seeing it different, is it going to turn into, like it does now, it's going to turn into as you're coming at an angle?
Okay. It will basically approach at a 90-degree angle. So when you're at the stop line,
same way it is now.
Sorry, gentlemen, one at a time.
Sorry. So yes, when you're at the stop line at Amherst Street, whether it's the way it is today or relocated, you will be perpendicular to Route 202 and have a sight line both.
Is anybody else?
Al Wishart, my last name is W-I-S-H-A-R-T, and I'm Chief of Police in Granby. I have a couple of questions. I share the same concerns as Selectman Sexton about moving Amherst Street closer to the intersection. There's a lot going on there already, and I'm not so sure that moving that intersection closer to the other intersection is going to solve anything. I'm concerned that it's going to create some problems. The question that I also have is this would be the southerly most entrance on 202 for Cumberland Farms. Has there been any thought given to either, it currently has a sign that says exit only, entrance only, but people exit out it on a regular basis. Has there been any thought given to either getting rid of that intersection, getting rid of that entrance exit, or doing something almost along the lines of what you did across the way in the Dunkin' Donuts entrance to make sure people cannot go out it? Because again, that's one more thing that's going on in that very short distance of intersection. And that's happening right in the queue of the cars taking a left-hand turn. If you chose to get rid of that, that would give you a place to replicate your weapons.
Trim shot, currently there's not a change proposed to that driveway. It's basically going to be retained as entrance only without any modifications. Is that correct?
Yes, for this, like along the road 202, the Cumberland farm have two open curb cuts. You know, we must give them permit at one time. If we want to close that,
Yeah, I think that's something we can look at maybe again. A lot of times with these convenience stores, there's an issue with not just the customer flow, but the trucks that deliver the gas, and that they need a route in and out that works for trucks turning. So we'll take a look at that and see if there's potentially anything we can change about that westerly driveway coming.
Were you discussing the one across from?
No, that one right near the, across from the Dunkin' Donuts parking.
Thank you.
So again, oftentimes it's about trying to provide that circulation that allows the deliveries. We will take a look at that. Being so close to the intersection, certainly people slowing down to take the right in, with someone behind them coming through the green light can create some issues with speed differentials. So I think that's something we can look at some. Oh, and I think, Chief, your first comment about putting the Amherst Street closer to the signalized intersection of Pleasant Street. It does shorten that up by, probably a car length. That's certainly one of the considerations of looking at the other alternative, which instead of moving Amherst Street, moves the Cumberland driveway, which again goes into those considerations about the wetlands there. But we're glad to have the feedback on that, certainly.
My name is Rich Domeracki, D-O-M-E-R-A-C-K-I. I'm a resident. I live about a mile from the intersection of School Street and 202. And I think on one of your statistics up there, I was coming out of the parking lot of Dunkin' Donuts, taking a left. And you come out of the driveway, there's a line of traffic coming south on 202. That line of traffic stopped and waved me on to go past him, take a left. And what happened is, it looks like 202 widens just a little bit, but it's not marked for 2 lanes. A truck came on the side of the car that way beyond. I pulled out a little bit, and he clipped the front of my car. Okay, that area is very dangerous. Now, you addressed taking left-hand turns. Did you come up with a solution to fix that problem?
Yeah, but I limited the left turn. You cannot make a left turn once the project is built.
Okay, so
This
there'll be no
will be
left turn.
right in, right out only. If the people want to turn left, they need to make it left like this.
Like what? With
Here, look, you gotta go through
Well,
the
no,
error.
Excuse me, Cindy, folks, one at a time, right, or nothing. Okay, go ahead, continue, please.
So the people cannot just take left through this driveway.
Okay.
Can you also speak about the left out, Chuck?
Left out will be, they cannot be left out this way. They will either go this way and turn left. You know, here has a curb car, a big curb car. So we will encourage people to use this way.
Okay. Second question, on School Street and 202, are you just planning on putting in 4 traffic lights and no other improvements, or what exactly are you going to do in that area? You know, will you be widening it at all, or what?
You know, now the Road 202 is a single lane on each approach, and we propose to wide or minor widening, so we can put a left turn lane on both directions along the Road 202. So with this signal, the left turn on this intersection would be.
And will there be turn on red? Where you could turn?
No, is that?
Right turn on red?
Yeah.
You mean the right turn on red?
Yeah.
It's something that we'll have to look into, because that can sometimes be restricted due to sight distance. So we'll have to analyze that to see if there may be certain approaches that will be no turn on red, but there may be others that aren't. But that's something we'll have to evaluate.
Okay, and my last question, on easements and rights of way, could you basically explain what the difference is? And how do you come up with your price that you offer homeowners? Is that something that's negotiable?
We have, after our members come and visit you, we turn it over to a team of appraisers that's certified by the state. And they will look at prices that are selling in your area. And they'll come up with a formula for what they feel is the fair market value of the property. And they'll deem their appraisals such as. They do vary, depending on taking or if it's a temporary easement.
But is there a difference between an easement and a right of way?
Oh, yes. Well, like a temporary easement is just what it means. Just for us to work in there temporary for a select period of years, and then the land reverts back to you. A taking would be exactly that. It would be a taking. We would take some to widen the road or whatever is necessary.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Dave DeRozier, DES-ROS-IDRS. I am also the highway superintendent. To follow up on Rich's accident, they're coming out of the Dunkin' Donuts parking lot. I think we addressed that situation by prohibiting the left turn out, but the same situation occurs at the intersection of Amherst Street at 202. There's a queue forming on Amherst Street. People will wave, queue forming on 202. People on 202 will wave the person on Amherst Street to come make a left onto northbound 202. And somebody behind them is trying to beat the light. They don't see it. And if that person coming from Amherst Street onto northbound 202 is not paying attention, there's a potential there. I don't know how many accidents have occurred in that scenario. But I know you said it's difficult to signalize that intersection, but I hope if nothing more, you have all the provisions in place to signalize it in the future, because this project is 4 or 5 years off. By the time it comes up, we may see the crash rates justify signalizing that intersection as well. Also, I'm a little concerned with shortening the queue, moving Amherst Street in that direction. I would love to see us pursue moving the Cumberland Drive. You could also excavate wetlands where the existing drive is on the Cumberland Farm. So there wouldn't be, I don't think, too much of a problem finding a location part of it on the project to replicate wetlands. You might have to do some off-site depending on what the other environmental groups request of you, but I think it's worth pursuing. I think public safety should trump a 1,400-foot impact to a wetlands.
Dave, you were talking about left turn out of Amherst Street to 202 northbound, and the courtesy crashes there.
Correct. It's the same situation as coming out of the Duncan parking lot now. And I think at the road safety audit, we said we've got to stop the left turns out of the Duncan parking lot, but you can't stop the ones coming out of Amherst Street, obviously. But I'm just a little concerned about the same scenario with that type of crash at that location.
I think, in fact, courtesy crashes was a fairly large percentage of the crashes at this location, where someone waves you on, there's a vehicle that's coming up behind them or something, and cause a conflict. But again, it's not unique to here. It's a problem that wherever you have these developed areas with commercial driveways next to signalized intersections, it'd be wonderful if all these driveways and commercial developments were never permitted right at these intersections, but they're there. We don't want to take all the businesses, obviously. We want your, places for your commercial businesses to occur and things like that. But the courtesy crash is a typical problem.
I think with this design, some of that may be stopped because you're only going to have one lane and then you're going to have the left turn lane there. So those people that want to come out and go around, I mean, if they're going to use the left turn lane to do that, to continue straight, you may have an issue, but you won't have enough room to do that if there's another car in there. So, because you have a left turn lane. So you're saying coming here, taking a left, correct? Coming out of this street and taking a left?
Left out of Amherst Street.
Right.
And then there's a queue formed on 202 to make a left up onto Amherst Street. There's another car trying to take a left from 202 to Amherst Street.
This way?
That car waves the car coming from Amherst Street on.
Right.
And he doesn't see the car going northbound on 202.
Going
He's siding. Yes, there's another lane right there.
Yeah. So that's that way, okay. I was thinking the other direction, that they were coming up this way and they were being waved out, so I apologize, but yeah.
But we're-
Hopefully, yeah, it's.
We're definitely helping by putting the restricted
Right.
turn in the Dunkin' Donuts. In fact, I never go out that intersection because
Yeah.
it's crazy.
I was just there, as a matter of fact, and I didn't go out that way, I went out
Yeah.
the other direction.
But many people
Yeah.
have faith and do use it now, so we definitely have to stop that.
Yeah.
And that will help, but still a concern on the other.
I would say we'll certainly try to discourage it, and some people will, find a way to make the left
Yeah.
illegally anyway, but we try to design it to really limit the ability to make a left turn in or a left turn out.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. If there are no other questions or comments, I'd like to remind you that the last sheet of the handout is a mail-in sheet. If you have any further questions or comments you would like to submit, please use this sheet for that purpose. You may leave the sheet with me, or you may mail it to the department within 10 days of this date, and it will become part of the official record. Before I close this hearing, I'd like to say that we'll be here as long as you're interested in looking at plans. We'll try to respond to questions that affect you personally. Thank you very much for attending and for providing us with this location. And I declare this hearing closed at 7:03 p.m. Thank you.